it's just a picture of Moltres from Super Mario Bros. Brawl. Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Hey, I can't speak.
Since
It just got big, so I guess. Thank you.
since I actually know that it's up there, Moltres is the guardian of Fire Island. Okay. So Moltres made it is obviously the fire flying type of the trio. It made its anime debut in Pokemon 2000. So, okay, I don't know when we're all playing. Thanks. So it debuted in Pokemon 2000, The Power of One. It was also in All Fired Up, Round 1 Begin, Friends to the End, and The Search for the Legend. In series, Moltres is actually, what's the word for it? In series, Moltres is believed to be either like myth or fantasy, but for some reason not Articuno or Zapdos. I guess because Moltres is the hardest of the three to ever, is the least seen, I guess. Which might be because it appears to migrate south. Folklore is believed that because it migrates like southern in the springtime, that the people down in the south believe that Moltres' appearance itself is what triggers spring to come. And here, model for us for a second. When it flaps its wings, embers, tiny little embers fall off. And those embers are believed to contain healing powers. And as you can probably guess, as obvious as it is, Moltres is based off the legend of the Phoenix. And actually, Moltres is the only one of the legendary birds that was not in the original Pokemon opening.
I actually double checked that too because I didn't believe her, and then if you watch it, it goes like Zapdos.
Aspac, Spanish feud.
It goes then Articuno, and then all of a sudden it's just like they go into a Pokemon and Moltres just doesn't even show up when they're flying out. And I'm like, thanks.
All the appreciation.
Just so you know, it's not because. Just so you know, we have time-wise things, so I'm going to take any questions or comments after, like after everything's done. Sorry, I mentioned it earlier, but yep. That's just so everybody knows. Sorry.
Weirdly enough, Moltres is the only member of the trio that can't have a super effective stab against a Pokemon of its own type. And again, with the original naming, Moltres is just fire in Japanese. Which, fun fact, Arcanine was actually originally intended to be the third member of the trio, but someone in the higher-ups was like, you know, doesn't quite make a lot of sense to have two birds and a dog. So, Moltres was born, and I know in the handbook, and I think maybe in the anime, and possibly the games as well, they do refer to Arcanine as a legend, even though Arcanine is not as rare as a legend, but that's like one of the remnants of Arcanine was supposed to be a legend, and they were like, well, nope. Yep, so that concludes for the birds, and so moving on. Oh, I was getting ahead of myself there. Never mind, I will get to you in a moment. Haha, so then we have like the first, I guess you could say duo, but we'll get to that in just a moment. But then we have Mew, the psychic type. Fun fact, just, you know, because I don't think hang on, brain farting for a second. One of the little tie-ins to our real world is Mew is said, both in the game and obviously in the movie, Mew is said to inhabit Guyana, which is in South America, which is a real-life location. So I wonder if like tourism boomed there in like 1999 or whatever. Minnesota?
Yeah, and both Ash was talking about Vikings, and he said they only lived in Minnesota.
Oh hey, there's another fun fact.
Yeah, Lieutenant Surge, the Viking American.
Aha. So in game, I think maybe possibly in the anime as well, but as in the games at least, the scientists in the series believe Mew to be the ancestor of all Pokemon, and since there are Pokemon floating out in outer space that we'll get to later possibly, but they did mention like later legendaries floating out in outer space, so Mew could very well be an extraterrestrial. So, anime-wise, Mew is obviously central to the plot of Pokemon the first movie, even though it doesn't appear as often. It's just, you know, the big driving factor of the plot. But it also appears in Lucario and the Mystery of Mew, name drop, and also appears in Mewtwo Returns. I was, sorry, blurry eyes. Mew started the trend of every, sorry, I was thinking of something else because I'm just derpy like this. So Mew started the trend of every generation introducing a legendary with a base stat total of 600 and a stat distribution of 100 all around. And,
Oh yeah, then we're going to tell her the list of all, like, every generation.
you're getting ahead of yourself.
Oh no, I know it off the top of my head. I'm
We're all getting ahead of ourselves up here.
But yeah, like, then every generation there's that cute Pokemon, and
Brent,
yes.
I was saving that for last.
Okay.
Like I kept saying, you're getting ahead of yourself. Just
Okay.
cool your horses there. Bad pun is bad. Cool your cornicus. I'm making that up now, so. Sorry, blind in one eye. Lawrence III's actions in the Power of One were apparently set in motion due to an ancient Mew card, and the card itself that set Lawrence III's off was actually handed out when you went to see the Power of One in theaters. And it's not very obvious in this picture, but Mew is kind of based, since it's like the whole cloning aspect that keeps surrounding Mew. Mew appearance-wise, and especially in the original Japanese games, Mew appearance-wise is based on a fetus. But you would never guess, because look at that cute little thing. But in the original Japanese games, the sprite is like very fetus-like. Yeah. Mew is actually the very first Pokemon that they filed a trademark for, and I actually had that information down, but again, no flashcard. And just a cute little thing, because this is kind of like a cross-generational thing, I guess I'll call it, but you know, here in the West, we think Mew as like a sound that a cat makes. And since, like I said, in Japan, Mew is more based off like an embryo, but Mew is also very similar to the Japanese word mew, which actually means something strange, but is also the Japanese onomatopoeia of a cat mewing, so that kind of has like the double thing. And as Zapdos was starting to say, Mew is the, kind of like the, oh, you want me to read that?
It's just like the names are there.
Yeah. So it set the standard for later, each generation following to have a cute legend, I guess. How do I scroll? Okay, that's how I scroll. Oh, it only said Victini.
Yeah.
Oh, I know how technology works. Oh, there's the names. So after Mew, we got so I guess this is in order. So we got Mew, Celebi, Jirachi, Manphy, Shaman, and Victini. So those are all the cute legends that Mew set the standard for. And since after Mew comes Mewtwo. Fun fact, I might be cosplaying him at EAC. Again, Mewtwo is a psychic type, and I'm just going to keep referring to Mewtwo as a him just because of that one movie. Yeah. Unlike the other legendaries we've seen so far, Mewtwo actually has no natural habitat, but it does seem to prefer dark solitude, like in deep caves. And in the lowest part of Cerulean Cave, it's reported. Hang on, I totally missed a period there. It can be encountered in the lowest level of Cerulean Cave. There we go. But it's also reported to roam around cities at night. So maybe tonight after the masquerade, you're going out to dinner and you see that creepy shadow following you. It could be Mewtwo. Could be a robber. Could be Mewtwo.
Maybe he's friendly.
Could be Slenderman.
He was walking around
Slender.
earlier.
I know. So, fun fact, in the games, if you go to the mansions on Cinnabar Island, you can find scientific logs, and they contain, like, some facts about Mewtwo, one of which being there was a Mewtwo born from a pregnant Mew in Guyana. There we go, Mew being in Guyana again. They actually, I don't know quite how they did this, but they like performed experiments on this embryo, put it, I don't know if they put it back inside the Mew or if they did it while it was still inside the Mew, and sent Mew on their way, and Mewtwo was actually born from a pregnant Mew. But as we saw in Pokemon the first movie, they made him in a test tube. So, obviously Mewtwo was central to the plot of the first movie that we all saw, right?
Yes.
And Mewtwo returns. Going back to like the opening of the anime, Mewtwo is actually the very first Pokemon seen in the English dub, which I always noticed when I was little. And Mewtwo alone